The unlikely customer. Demas had lived his whole life knowing how people judge others based on appearances. It wasn't a surprise to him when he walked into the upscale store that afternoon, wearing his worn-out flip-flops, grease-stained pants and an old shirt. He had gotten used to being ignored, dismissed and treated as though he didn't belong in places like that. He wasn't bothered by it. In fact, he expected it. But that day, something felt different. As he stepped inside the store, he noticed the young woman behind the counter, Beatrice. She didn't look at him with judgment. She didn't give him a dismissive glance. Instead, she greeted him with a warm smile, a simple, "How can I help you?" Her kindness surprised him. For the first time in a long while, someone had treated him like a person, not a stereotype. He was used to people like her turning their heads, ignoring him as if he were invisible. But Beatrice didn't, and in that moment, Demas knew he had to return. What started as a visit to kill time quickly turned into something much bigger, a chance for him to do something for someone who treated him with respect. But Demas had a secret. Beneath his dirty clothes and humble exterior, he wasn't just an old mechanic. He was someone far more influential than anyone could have guessed. And in the end, that unexpected kindness from one young woman would set off a chain of events that no one could have predicted. This may look like an ordinary story, but trust me, it's anything but. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful stories. Now let's begin. Chapter 1. The Unseen Man. Demas entered the luxury store with the confidence of someone who had never been judged by appearances. His worn-out flip-flops, grease-stained pants and old shirt made him stand out in a place full of perfectly tailored suits and elegant dresses. The employees at the store didn't know what to make of him. Some turned their heads, others pretended not to see him, but Demas didn't mind. He was used to being ignored. He was used to people assuming he didn't belong, but not here. Not today. Beatrice, one of the young employees, noticed him immediately. Unlike the others, she didn't turn away or hide behind a smile. Instead, she walked up to him with warmth and respect. "Good afternoon, sir," she said, her voice gentle but professional. "How can I assist you today?" Demas looked at her, surprised. No one had spoken to him like that in a long time. Certainly not in a place like this. "I was just looking around," he muttered, his voice low but still clear. Beatrice smiled. "Feel free to take your time. If you need any help, I'm here." And with that, a conversation began. The other employees watched, their glances filled with curiosity. Demas wasn't treated like a nuisance or an invisible presence. He was treated like any other customer. The others didn't understand why Beatrice was giving him this attention. The old man clearly didn't have the money to buy anything here, but Beatrice wasn't thinking about money. She was thinking about human dignity. As Demas roamed the store, he seemed a bit lost in the luxurious surroundings, but there was something about his demeanor that caught Beatrice's attention. It wasn't just the way he looked. It was the way he carried himself, quiet, calm, as if he had seen much more than anyone would expect. Finally, after a long silence, Demas spoke again. "I'm not here to buy," he said with a slight chuckle. "I was just in the area, and I thought I'd stop by. It's been a long time since I've been in a place like this." Beatrice smiled gently, her heart warming to the stranger before her. Sometimes the most unexpected people end up in the most surprising places. Little did she know, the man in front of her would soon show them all just how surprising he could be. Chapter 2. The Unlikely Reveal. A week passed before Demas returned to the store. He hadn't come for anything specific, he was just passing by again. Beatrice, who had now become accustomed to his visits, was surprised when she saw him enter. "Once more? Back for more?" she teased lightly, her voice warm. Demas smiled, a little more comfortable now. I like the way you treat people here." The other employees watched from a distance, whispering to each other. They had begun to notice how often Demas visited, and how Beatrice always greeted him with kindness and respect. Some wondered why she bothered. After all, what was he really going to do for the store? He wasn't a customer who could afford their products, but today Demas wasn't here to just browse. He had something to share, something that would leave. Everyone in the room, speechless. He looked at Beatrice with a glint in his eye. "I don't come here just for the clothes. You see, I'm not just some old mechanic. I own a fleet of planes." Beatrice raised an eyebrow. "You do?" Demas nodded. "Yes, I spend most of my days working on them. Fixing engines, ensuring everything is running smoothly, but I also own a lot more than that." Beatrice felt a wave of confusion wash over her. "Wait, you're telling me you're—" He nodded again, a smile tugging at the corner of his lips. "I'm worth more than this store could ever imagine. But it's not about the money for me. It's about respect. You treated me with respect, even when I looked like I didn't belong here." Beatrice stood in stunned silence, her heart racing. The man before her wasn't just some old mechanic, he was a millionaire, and she had treated him like a person, not a statistic. She had seen beyond his clothes, beyond his appearance, and in doing so, she had unknowingly opened the door to something far greater. The other employees, who had been standing in the background, suddenly became very aware of their own behavior. They had judged him based on his clothes. They had dismissed him, and now they were realizing just how wrong they were. Chapter 3. A ripple effect. The news of Demas's true identity quickly spread through the store. At first, it was just whispers, but soon enough, it was impossible to ignore. Beatrice became the subject of admiration. She was praised for her kindness and her ability to treat everyone with the same dignity. But the real impact came when Demas made an announcement. He had a plan, and Beatrice was going to be a part of it. "I've decided to make a donation," Demas said one afternoon, standing in the middle of the store with a broad smile. "But not just any donation. I'm going to buy everything in the store, all of it, and then I'm going to give it away." Beatrice's eyes widened. "What? But why?" Demas grinned. "Because I believe in what you're doing here. You've shown me something I haven't seen in a long time. True kindness, and I want to give back." Over the next few days, the store transformed. Boxes of clothes were sent to schools, homeless shelters, and other community centers. People began to talk about the store, not just for its luxurious products, but for its heart. It became a symbol of generosity, respect, and human connection. And it wasn't just Demas's donation that made a difference. The way Beatrice treated him, and the way she inspired others to see the value in every person, began to ripple out into the community. More and more people started to change the way they looked at others. They began to question their assumptions, their judgments, and their prejudices. Chapter 4. The Legacy of Respect. Months passed, and the store continued to thrive. The donations kept coming, and Beatrice's story became an inspiration to others. But Demas didn't stop there. He returned to the store one last time, this time with a proposal that would change Beatrice's life forever. "I want to start a foundation," Demas said, handing her an envelope. "A foundation that will train young people, especially those who are struggling, on how to work with respect, kindness, and dignity. I want to teach them that their value is not determined by what they wear or where they come from." Beatrice took the envelope, her hands trembling. "You want me to run it?" Demas nodded. "Yes, because you're the one who showed me that respect is worth more than anything money can buy, and I believe you can teach others to do the same." The foundation was born, and with it, a new era of possibility for young people who had once felt invisible. The lessons of kindness, empathy, and respect became the foundation of not just a charity, but a movement that would spread across the country. Beatrice's story and Demas's generosity became a beacon of hope for those who had been overlooked, for those who had been judged by their appearance. And it all started with one simple act of respect. Was that ending what you expected? Drop a comment and share the biggest lesson this story left you with.